Hare Krishna. So, we welcome you all to this English reading session on Krishna book, chapter 2, part 3. We had already communicated that we shall be covering this chapter in three parts, and today is the last day. Tomorrow, we will be having our exam on Krishna book, chapter 2 at 8:30 pm. So, before that, we would like to give you a small piece of information. We are planning that by tomorrow we will be sharing you a link for installing an app by the name Telegram. The reason behind this is that it helps you to protect your privacy. Your number can be hidden from anybody in the group by setting by means of making some changes in the settings so that nobody can misuse your number. Recently, we came to know that some rogue fellow used our WhatsApp group and was trying to text different messages to different members of our group. Therefore, you can please install Telegram in your phone. We will be sharing the link of installing Telegram as well as we will be sharing the link for joining our group. The another reason that we wish to use this app is that it can hold a large number of participants. We have almost 5,000 devotees and participants who have enrolled with us, and it really becomes difficult sometimes to manage forwarding messages to 20 WhatsApp groups. Therefore, to increase the ease of managing, we plan to shift this whole exercise gradually on Telegram. If you have any concern, you can let us know. So let's begin today's session by chanting this prayer from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishna, 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 He. Krishna, 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 He. Krishna, 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 Rakshama. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Ram Raghava, Ram Raghava, Ram Raghava, Rakshama. Krishna Keshav, Krishna Keshav, Krishna Keshav, Pahimam. And now the pranam mantra of our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So let's begin. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, in today's discussion, we will be seeing a few points where we felt that devotees might be a little confused. We also had received some feedbacks about doubts that you had. So, therefore, in order to remove those doubts, we will be first discussing a few things which is which I'll be going to explain over here in a few minutes. Today's session might be a little longer, approximately 15 minutes, because we will be clearing a few doubts over here. So, this is the Vedic cosmos, the Vedic philosophy which is mentioned in the Bhagavad Puran, that how this Vedic, the whole cosmos is existing. So we have three sections over here if you see closely. The first one is the one in which we reside, and that's called the material world, that is represented by three. Then is the Brahma Jyoti or the Brahm effulgence, which is the second. And the first one is the spiritual world, which has Vaikuntha and Golok Vrindavan. So the world in which we are living at this present moment, this is called the material world. So if we see here, the personality who is lying down here, he is Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And the sea in which he is lying down is the Garbhodak Sagar. So we had read in chapter number 1 that there is another Purush avatar, that is the Shirodakshai Vishnu, who is lying down on an ocean of milk. Similarly, there is another Purush incarnation which is called who is called Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And if you see from the navel of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, this navel is coming out, and this is Lord Brahma, although it is hidden over here. You can see probably here, this is Lord Brahma who has come out of the navel coming from this. And on the navel of the navel, this umbilical cord which is coming out, on which Brahma is situated, are all the 14 planetary systems. So if we see here, there is Patal, Rasatal, Mahatal, Talatal, Sutal, Vital, and Atal. So these are the 7 hellish planetary systems, and then these are called basically the lower planets. And this is the Loka, this is the place where we are residing, Earth planet. And then above this is there are 6 planetary systems which are called the upper or higher planets: Bhuvarlok, Svargalok, Maharlok, Janlok, Tapolok, and Satyalok. So often people have idea about Svargalok. People talk about going to Swarga, and if they talk about Patal or Narka, but here it is. These are the 14 planetary systems which often we read about or discuss about. So why it is important to discuss today about these planetary systems, or rather we would say the whole Vedic cosmos. A living entity who is present in this material world can have connection with the Lord. And how this connection happens: few people who are interested in spirituality wish to go to this place which is called the Brahma Jyoti. Brahma Jyoti is the effulgence, the bright light that is emanating from the body of Krishna. And such people who are called impersonalists are attracted towards this light coming from the body of the Lord. They understand that the Lord does not have a form, he is Nirakar, he does not have a form. But if we go above, we can see that the Supreme Lord has his own abode, he has so many devotees over there, and that is the aspiration of a devotee. The devotees of the Lord aspire to go to the from this material world to the spiritual world, where they can serve the Supreme, and they can have interaction with him, they can have dealings with him. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada ji is explaining here that I'll just try to understand, make help you understand here, that who are the impersonalists first of all. So meditation means concentration upon lotus feet of the Lord. But those who are impersonalists do not recognize the lotus feet of the Lord, and therefore their object of meditation is something impersonal. This means that they do not focus or they do not meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord, but rather they focus or they meditate upon something which is impersonal, which does not have a form, right? And often they express it as Jyoti, or a light, or a bright light. So what the demigods are praying, and what do they tell? That impersonalists are undergoing very severe austerities and penances to merge themselves into the Brahm effulgence, or the impersonal Brahm existence. So what is the aspiration of the Nirvisheshvadis or the impersonalists? That from this material world they want to go to this section of the cosmos, that is the Brahma Jyoti. They do not have any information beyond it, that there is a place where the Supreme Lord lives. He has a form, he has devotees, he interacts with them, he plays with them. So this is information that they do not have, right? So but their minds are not free. They want to merge into the impersonal Brahm existence, and for that they undergo severe austerities. But their minds are not free from material contamination. They have simply tried to negate the material ways of thinking. So what exactly they are trying to do? They want to get liberated from this world. They want to come out of the cycle of birth and death and remain and merge into the Brahm effulgence of the Lord. But what Srila Prabhupada is explaining over here, that those people, actually those who do not take to devotional service, these impersonalists think that they are liberated, but actually they do not have any feeling for the personality of God. They don't have any relationship with the Lord. They simply want to get liberated. And that's what Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita, that avjananti mam mudha. These foolish people, they misunderstand me. Why? Because they think that Krishna is actually accepting a material body when he comes to this world. But actually, the Lord has what? He has a transcendental Satchit Ananda form. So, therefore, we have discussed till now that uh, the impersonalists aspire to go to the Brahmajyoti, and despite of the fact that even if they conquer material lust and they reach the Brahmajyoti, even then they will finally, what will happen to them? They will fall down, because they just know things for the sake of knowledge. They do not take to the bhakti. They do not take to the devotional service of the Lord. They don't have any relationship with Lord. They just want to get liberated, right? So this was first thing that we wanted you to understand. Another thing was that if we see in this photograph, we have a very big ocean which gets transformed into a small pit which is created by the hoof of a calf. If a calf puts its hoof on the ground, there will be a small hole will be formed, and if you fill water into it, it will be just a little volume of water will get filled into it. So the demigods who are praying to the Supreme Lord here say that there are many sages who are simply by samadhi transcendently meditating upon your lotus feet, and thus being absorbed in your thought have easily transformed the ocean of nescience created by the material nature into no more than water in a calf's hoofprint. So what they are telling, that if somebody takes to meditating upon the lotus feet of the Lord, then what will happen? Such a big ocean of nescience will get converted into water in a calf's hoofprint. And even a small child can easily cross it over. Therefore, great sages cross over this vast ocean of material existence without difficulty. Okay, another thing which is explained over here is that if you want to cross a river or a sea or an ocean, you take a boat. But if one boat takes the boat and he crosses the river, then the people who are already standing at the initial position, how will they cross? Right? If one reaches a destination, how then the same boat can be available to those who are on this side? So the answer is that the boat of the Lord is not taken away. When one simply approaches the boat, when one simply approaches the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Lord Krishna, the whole ocean of material nescience is reduced to the size of water in a calf's hoofprint. So that is what exactly happens, that even a very small child can also, just by meditating on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, can cross over this very treacherous, very difficult to cross material existence. So this was one important thing. So we should meditate, we should think about Lord's lotus feet, we should watch, we should see the beautiful face of the Lord, beautiful Charan Kamala, or the lotus feet of the Lord. And another important thing which I wanted to explain was about this tree, which was being explained in Katha Upanishad. So, Katha Upanishad explains that this material nature is compared to a tree. Even this material it compares even this material body with a tree. So, Katha Upanishad states that sorry, one bird on the tree of the body is eating the fruits and the other bird is simply witnessing. So this means that there are two birds. One of them is the Supreme Lord, that is Paramatma in the heart, and the other is the spirit soul or the living entity which is eating the fruits of the tree. This means he's doing some activities, and the Supreme Lord is just doing what? He's witnessing. So he's Anumanta Updrishta. He is just witnessing what this fellow is doing. What kind of desires does he have? So the nature of the fruits, the kind of fruits that he is eating are of two types: Sukha and Dukha, happiness and distress. Then this tree expands through its roots. And what are the roots of this tree? The roots of this tree are the three modes of material nature, that is goodness, passion, and ignorance. So Bhagavad Gita mentions about this. You can read about it in the chapter called Three Modes of Material Nature in the Bhagavad Gita. So then it is told that what is number four? The four number is the taste of these fruits. The fruits are of two types, but they are having four types of taste. Then what are they? Sanskrit, dharma, arth, kam, and moksha. So religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Then this body has five senses. So then these senses suffer from six type of infirmities or doshas. Then seven is the different kind of coverings this body has in the form of flesh, bone, marrow, semen. So there, in this way, you can read this section closely and try to understand that how different from 1 to 9, from 1 to 10, all different numbers have been given a particular analogy. So you can read this section again, and so now we will move on to our discussion for today. This is where we started off. We left off yesterday, and this is what we had seen. Their achievement is the trouble they take, and that's all. So now he read from here. It is clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita that to realize Brahm identification is not all. This means that if you reach this place, this is not all. There is something beyond it also, right? Brahm identification may help one become joyful without material attachment or detachment. One has to take to the platform of equanimity, but after this stage, one has to take to devotional service. Means bhakti is inevitable. One has to do bhakti to go back to Godhead, to be elevated to the platform of loving devotional service to the Lord. When one takes to devotional service after being elevated to the platform of Brahma realization, he is then admitted to the spiritual kingdom for permanent residence in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, after reaching Brahma Jyoti, if somebody takes to devotional service, he will be admitted to the spiritual world. So, why not do it just now, right? That is the result of devotional service. Those who are devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead never fall down like the impersonalists. Even if the devotees fall down, they remain affectionately attached to their Lord. They can meet all kinds of obstacles on the path of devotional service, and freely, without any fear, they can surmount such obstacles. Because of their surrender, they are certain that Krishna will always protect them. As it is promised by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, my devotees are never vanquished. So Lord tells to Arjuna that, oh Arjuna, you declare this fact. Name bhaktaha pranashyati. That my devotees are never vanquished. So our dear Lord, the demigods continued, one more thing, that devotees never fall down like impersonalists. So impersonalists, in due course of time, even if they reach Brahmajyoti, they will have to come back. They fall down. But even if a devotee will not fall, but even if he apparently falls down, he or she remains affectionately attached to the Lord. And even despite of the fact that he finds lots of obstacles due to this material world in executing the path of devotional service, they can surmount such obstacles by the mercy of the Lord. So now they are praying ahead. Our dear Lord, the demigods continued, you have appeared in your original unalloyed form, the eternal form of goodness, for the welfare of all living entities within this material world. Taking advantage of your appearance, all of them now very easily understand the nature and form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Persons who belong to the four divisions of the social order, the brahmacharis, the grihasthas, the vanaprasthas, and sannyasis, can all take advantage of your appearance. So, society is divided into four divisions according to the varna and ashram. So, this is the ashram. So, brahmachari ashram, grihastha ashram, vanaprastha ashram, and sannyas ashram. So, dear Lord, husband of the goddess of fortune, devotees who are dovetailed in your service do not fall down from their high positions like the impersonalists. Being protected by you, the devotees are able to traverse over the heads of many of Maya's commanders in chief, who can always put stumbling blocks on the path of liberation. Dear Lord, you appear in your eternal transcendental form for the benefit of the living entities so that they can see you face to face and offer their worshipful sacrifices by ritualistic performance of the Vedas, mystic meditation, and devotional service as recommended in the scriptures. Dear Lord, if you did not appear in your eternal transcendental form, full of bliss and knowledge, a form which can eradicate all kinds of speculative ignorance about your position, then all people would simply speculate about you according to their respective modes of material nature. So they are thanking the Lord that since you have come, then no, people will not have to speculate about you that God is like this, God is an old person, he might be like this, he might be like that. So all speculations can be removed. The appearance of Krishna is answer to all imaginative iconography of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone imagines the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to his mode of material nature. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that the Lord is the oldest person. Therefore, a section of religionists imagine that God must be very old, and therefore they depict a form of the Lord like a very old man. But in the same Brahma Samhita, it is contradicted. Although he is the oldest of all living entities, he has his eternal form as a fresh youth. The exact words used in this connection in Srimad Bhagavatam are Vijnanam, Ajnana, Bidha, Apamarjanam. This means that people have an understanding. Brahma Samhita, which is given by Lord Brahma, he says that Lord is the oldest person. He was present before the creation. So then some people, some religionists think that God must be very old. They put a lot of white beard, gray hair. So but that's not true. Brahma Samhita also tells that God is old, yet he does not appear, he's not a form like an old man. He's having eternal form as a fresh youth. He's always a 16 years old boy in Vrindavan. So the exact words which are used here are Vijnanam, Ajnana, Bidha, Apamarjanam. Vijnanam means transcendental knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Vijnanam is also called experiential knowledge. So Vijnanam means two things: transcendental knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and also experiential knowledge. Transcendental knowledge has to be accepted by the descending process of disciplic succession. So one is ascending process, that I understand everything on my own or by my efforts, and descending process means that we learn the knowledge from authority. We take this knowledge just like a student learns from a teacher. One thing is that he himself does all the experiments, he again does the Newton's experiment, and then he comes to the conclusion, okay, yes, gravitation exists. Other thing is that he learns from an authority. So the we are following the process of descending process of disciplic succession. As Brahma presents the knowledge of Krishna in the Brahma Samhita, the Brahma Samhita is Vijnanam, as realized by Brahma's transcendental experience, and in that way he presented the form and the pastimes of Krishna in the transcendental abode. So Brahmaji himself had this experience, and he has written Brahma Samhita, which is a Vijnanam, which is realized knowledge by Lord Brahma. This knowledge is agyan pidhapamarjanam, that which can smash all kinds of speculation in ignorance. People are imagining the form of the Lord. Sometimes he has no form, sometimes he has form, according to their different imaginations. So some people say God is formless, some people say no, God has a form, God is this. So therefore, this knowledge is what is his appearance is agyan bidha apamarjanam. Marjanam means cleaning, and one which smashes all kinds of speculation in the mode of ignorance is this knowledge. So the presentation of Krishna in Brahma Samhita is Vijnanam, scientific experienced knowledge given by Lord Brahma and accepted by Lord Chaitanya. There is no doubt about it. Krishna's form, Krishna's flute, Krishna's color, everything is reality. Here it is said that this Vijnanam is always defeating all kinds of speculative knowledge. Therefore, without your appearing as Krishna as you are, neither Agyan Vidhapamarjanam, destruction of the nescience of speculative knowledge, nor Vijnanam would be realized. So they are saying, the demigods are saying that Vijnanam and Agyan Vidhapamarjanam will happen only when you appear as you are, appearing as Krishna as you are. So in other words, your appearance will vanquish the ignorance of speculative knowledge and experience the real experienced knowledge of authorities like Lord Brahma. So, whatever Lord Brahma has told, this knowledge will be established, the real experienced knowledge of authorities. Men influenced by three modes of material nature imagine their own God according to the modes of material nature. In this way, God is presented in various ways, but your appearance will establish what the real form of God is. The highest blunder committed by the impersonalists is to think that when the incarnation of God comes, he accepts the form of matter in the mode of goodness. So, what is the problem with impersonalists? The biggest problem is that they think that the Supreme Lord also accepts a body under the influence of, or the body in the mode of material goodness. But actually, the Supreme Lord is beyond the three modes of material nature. His body is not an ordinary material body which is made up of the five elements, gross and subtle, five gross elements and three subtle elements. So his body is a Satchit Ananda, completely blissful, full of knowledge, and eternal. So, actually, the form of Krishna or Narayan is transcendental to any material idea. Even the greatest impersonalist Shankaracharya has admitted Narayana Paro Avyaktat. The material creation is caused by Avyakta, impersonal manifestation of matter, or the non-phenomenal total reservoir of matter, but Krishna is transcendental to that material conception. So even Shankaracharya, who is the greatest Nirvisheshvadi impersonalist, he also accepted that Narayana Paro Avyaktat, he is beyond this material manifestation. That is expressed in the Srimad Bhagavatam as Shuddha Sattva, or transcendental goodness, or we also say it pure goodness. He does not belong to the material mode of goodness. He is above the position of material goodness. He belongs to the transcendental eternal status of bliss and knowledge. Dear Lord, when you appear in your different incarnations, you take different names and forms according to different situations. Lord Krishna is your name because you are all attractive. Akarshati iti Krishna. One who attracts everybody is Krishna. That's why Krishna's name is Krishna, because one who attracts everybody, any living entity in any form. We will read in further chapters that how exactly can we understand this fact. So this will happen after the Brahma Vimohan Leela. So you are called Sham Sundar because of your transcendental beauty. Sham means blackish, yet it is said that you are more beautiful than thousands of cupids. Kandarpa Koti Gamaniya. Although you appear in a color which is compared to the blackish cloud, because you are the transcendental absolute, your beauty is many times more attractive than the delicate body of Cupid. Often, if somebody has black color, so people don't understand it to be very beautiful. But Lord Krishna, although he has the color of a blackish cloud, it is said that he is even more thousand crores of times more attractive than whom Kamdev or Cupid, the god of love. Sometimes you are called Giridhari because you lifted the hill known as Govardhan. You are sometimes called Nandanandan or Vasudev. So the son of Vasudev is Vasudev. So you can read it here. It's A has the dash written over here. This means it is Vasudev. Or Devaki Nandan because you appear as the son of Maharaj Nanda or Vasudev or Devaki. Impersonalists think that your many names or forms are given according to a particular type of work and quality because they accept you from the position of a material observer. So they think that they are observing on the material platform, therefore they feel that your names and forms are according to a particular type of work, right? But Krishna is transcendental to all these material conceptions. Our dear Lord, the way of understanding is not to study your absolute nature, form, and activities by mental speculation. So, by mental speculation, nobody can understand Krishna. One must engage himself in devotional service. Then one can understand your absolute nature and your transcendental form, name, and qualities. Actually, only a person who has a little taste for the service of your lotus feet can understand your transcendental nature, form, and quality. So, this is the qualification of a person who can actually understand the nature, the form, and the qualities which are transcendental of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what is that? That he should have a little taste for the service of your lotus feet. Right? Others may go on speculating for millions of years, but it is not possible for them to understand even a single part of your actual position. In other words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna cannot be understood by non devotees because there is a curtain of Yogamaya which covers Krishna's actual features as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Naham Prakashah Sarvasya. Krishna says that I am not revealed to everybody. The Lord says, I am not exposed to anyone and everyone. When Krishna came, he was actually present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and everyone saw him, but not everyone could understand that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? Because there is a curtain of Yogamaya which covers Krishna's actual features. So, by mental speculation, nobody can understand Krishna. Only by devotional service, by bhakti, by loving devotional service, one can understand Krishna. Still, so many people saw him in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but not everybody knew. Only a handful of people knew that Lord Krishna is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, still, everyone who died in his presence attained complete liberation from material bondage and was transferred to the spiritual world. So, anybody who died on the battlefield of Kurukshetra was actually transferred to the spiritual world. Why? Because they died in the presence of whom? Lord Krishna. So we will see this in future also that the demons which were killed by Krishna were actually killed, attained, all were sent either depending upon what was their nature. Like Putana, she was given the place of Lord's mother in the spiritual world. So Krishna, then who is killed by Krishna, he immediately he is banished. He is killed. Sorry, he is removed of all his sinful activities. Somebody had asked me a question that why did Kansa, when he was in his previous life, he was the son of, he was Kalnemi, he was killed by Lord Vishnu, then why did he reappear as Kansa? So Kansa had a very different story that he was destined to, it was destined to happen like this, that of the few sons of Brahmaji had insulted, the two sons of Marichi had insulted Brahmaji, and therefore they were cursed that you will be killed by some relative of your own. That's why Kansa had to take birth. But he had a different story behind it. It's just like Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, they were killed by Lord Vishnu. Then why did they again take birth as this Shishupal and Dantavakra, or Ravan and Kumbhakarna in Dwapar Yuga? So it was a story. There was a story behind it that they were destined. It was destined to happen. right? So let's move ahead. O Lord, the impersonalists or non devotees cannot understand that your name is identical with your form. Since the Lord is absolute, there is no difference between his name and his actual form. In the material world, there is a difference between form and name. The mango fruit is different from the name of mango. One cannot taste the mango fruit simply by chanting mango, 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 mango. But the devotee who knows that there is no difference between the name and form of the Lord chants Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and realizes that he is always in the Krishna's company. So if you simply say mango, 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 or sugar, 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 you will not feel sweetness in your mouth, right? But a devotee who knows that actually there is no difference between the name and the form of the Lord. There is no difference between the Naam and the Nami. So he will chant Lord's name, this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and realize that he's always in Krishna's company. So how can we always keep Krishna's company? By chanting his names. For persons who are not very advanced in absolute knowledge of the Supreme, Lord Krishna exhibits his transcendental pastimes. Such persons can simply think of the pastimes of the Lord and get full benefit, since there is no difference between the transcendental name and form of the Lord. Since there is no difference between the transcendental name and form of the Lord, there is no difference between the transcendental pastimes and the form of the Lord. For those who are less intelligent, like women, laborers, or mercantile class, the great sage Vyasadeva wrote the Mahabharata. In the Mahabharata, Krishna is presented in his different activities. The Mahabharata is history, and simply by studying, hearing, and memorizing the transcendental activities of Krishna, the less intelligent can also gradually rise to the standard of pure devotees. So, just by hearing, studying, and what will happen by that? Then you can memorize it, you can remember it. So, what will happen? Even less intelligent people can gradually rise to the platform of pure devotees. The pure devotees who are always absorbed in the thought of the transcendental lotus feet of Krishna and who are always engaged in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness are never to be considered to be in the material world. Srila Rupa Goswami has explained that those who are always engaged in Krishna consciousness with the body, mind, and activities are to be considered liberated even within this body. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Those who are engaged in the devotional service of the Lord have already transcended the material position. So, very important point to be understood over here, that one who are always engaged, how? With their body, mind, and activities. Yani karmana, manasa, and gira means the body. So, by karmana, by activities, by his karmana, manasa, gira, karmana, manasa, vacha means by karma, by manasa, by man, and by vacha means by vani. If they are completely engaged in Krishna consciousness, then they are considered to be liberated even in this body. Krishna appears in order to give a chance to both the devotees and the non devotees. For realization of the absolute, Krishna appears in order to give a chance to both the devotees and the non devotees for realization of the ultimate goal of life. The devotees get the direct chance to see him and worship him. Those who are not on that platform get the chance to become acquainted with his activities and thus become elevated to the same position. So Krishna comes with dual purpose. Those who are devotees, they get a direct chance to see him and worship him because they are already devotees. But those who are not on that platform, they become acquainted with his activities and gradually they become elevated to the same position. Our dear Lord, O Supreme Controller, when you appear on earth, all the demons like Kamsa and Jarasandh will be vanquished, and all good fortune will be ushered into the world. When you walk on the globe, your lotus feet will impress on the ground the marks of your souls, just like flag, trident, and the thunderbolt. Thus you will grace both the earth and us on the heavenly planets who shall see those marks. So the lotus feet of the Lord, if you see them, they have some impressions, some specific impressions, and out of them three have been mentioned over here: flag, the trident means the trishul, and the thunderbolt. So this is an identification, and when we will read the chapter about Akrurji, we will see that he recognizes the lotus feet of the impressions of the lotus feet of the Lord on the sand, on the dust of Vrindavan, and he immediately gets fainted. So we'll study it ahead. O dear Lord, the demigods continued, you are unborn, therefore we do not find any reason for your appearance other than your pleasurable pastimes. Although the reason for the appearance of the Lord is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, he descends. What is the reason? He descends just to give protection to the devotees and vanquish the non devotees. Actually, he descends for his pleasure meeting with the devotees, not really to vanquish the non devotees. The non devotees can be vanquished simply by one kick of material nature. The actions and reactions of material nature, creation, maintenance, and annihilation, are being carried out automatically, but simply by taking the shelter of your holy name, the devotees are sufficiently protected because your holy name and your personality are non different. So it said that although Lord Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita that he comes for the purpose of giving protection to devotees and vanquish the non-devotees, but the real purpose is actually not even to vanquish the non-devotees. The real purpose is to have his pleasure meeting with the devotees. It's not to vanquish the non-devotees. And because why then who will do this? It said that just by one cake of material nature this can happen. So nothing, Lord has not nothing to do in this, right? So let's read ahead. The protection of the devotees and the annihilation of the by simply taking the shelter of your holy name, the devotees are sufficiently protected because your holy name and your personality are non-different. So devotees are anyhow protected because they are always chanting your holy names, and you are non-different from your holy names. The protection of the devotees and the annihilation of the non-devotees are actually not the business of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he descends, it is just for his transcendental pleasure. There cannot be any other reason for his appearance. So it is his transcendental pleasure that he comes. So as we are progressing, we are learning new reasons that why does the Lord actually appear. Our dear Lord, you are appearing as the best of the Yadu dynasty, and we are offering our respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet. Before this appearance, you also appeared as the fish incarnation, the horse incarnation, as the tortoise incarnation, the half man, half lion incarnation, as the boar incarnation, as the swan incarnation, as King Ramchandra, as Parshuram, and many other incarnations. You appeared just to protect the devotees, and we request you, in your presence, in your present appearance as the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, to give us similar protection all over the three worlds and remove all obstacles for the peaceful execution of our life. Dear Mother Devaki, within your womb is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing along with all his plenary extensions. He is the original personality of Godhead appearing for our welfare. Therefore, you should not be afraid of your brother, the king of Bhoja. What was the king of Bhoja? Kansa. Your son, Lord Krishna, who is the original personality of Godhead, will appear for the protection of the pious Yadu dynasty. The Lord is appearing not alone, but accompanied by his immediate plenary portion, Baladev. It means Balramji has already appeared. Devaki was very much afraid of her brother Kamsa because he had already killed many of her children. She was very anxious about Krishna. In the Vishnu Puran, it is said that it is stated that in order to pacify Devaki, all the demigods along with their wives used to visit her to encourage her not to be afraid that her son would be killed by Kamsa. Krishna, who was within her womb, was to appear not only to diminish the burden of the world, but specifically to protect the interests of the Yadu dynasty, and certainly to protect Devaki and Vasudev. It is understood that Krishna had been transferred from the mind we had yesterday heard mind and heart both, so it is a synonymous word. From the mind of Vasudev to the mind of Devaki, and from there to her womb. Thus all the demigods worshipped Devaki, the mother of Krishna. So all the demigods were worshipping Devaki. They were assuring her, "Don't worry, everything is fine," because she was very much afraid of Kamsa. Because she was afraid that Kamsa might kill her child now. So after thus worshipping the transcendental form of the Lord, all the demigods with Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva placed in front departed for their heavenly abodes. After praying to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and after assuring Mother Devaki that don't worry, they all left for their abodes. And thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the second chapter of Krishna, prayers by the demigods for Lord Krishna in the womb. So we have come to the close of this chapter, and as of all of you know, tomorrow, that is Sunday, 28th of June, we'll be having our test at 8:30 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. We have changed the model of our quiz. We won't be sending your results on your mails now, because it became a very big difficulty for us to manage yesterday, and we received a lot of feedback that people did not receive their results. So now, as soon as you participate in the quiz, you will be able to see your result, but we will not be see what is the correct answer. Subsequently, on the second day or the next day, we will be sending you your result next or the day next, after 2 days or one day. Let's see, upon depending upon the chapter. We will send you your result as we sent for the all the participants. You can see your results. Anyhow, you will have seen your result. Apart from that, we will also be sharing the answer sheet in a PDF format so that you can study, and this will this will be implemented for tomorrow's quiz as well. We'll just drop a message in the groups so that you can understand it better. So we have also shared you some information about Mangala Aarti. The link is posted, so we request you to please attend it if you are not attending anywhere apart from uh, if you have just recently joined. And another thing, today we have another seminar today evening at 7 p.m., which will be given by His Grace Amal Krishna Prabhuji. So the title of the seminar is Yoga for the Modern Age, today and tomorrow, 2 days. So therefore, we come to close of this chapter. We request you to please install Telegram, although we will send links for both joining our group as well as installing Telegram. So thank you very much for your kind, patient hearing. Today's video was little longer. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.